Welcome to We Time Convo. I'm your host, Liza, the clueless one in the crew. Today, we are diving into NBA basketball as we gear up for the playoffs. On my roster with me today is Dawn Marie, aka Coach Curly, with more bounce in her hair than a PE class on dodgeball day.
There you go. That's it.
Then we have Russ, the man, the myth, the musician, who somehow has an artistic eye for abandoned shopping carts.
Love them.
And last but not least, we have Marita, our resident physics genius and full-time basketball brain.
Woo, hello.
She is ready to explain things like spacing, momentum, and why Steph Curry might be defying gravity. So how has your guys' spring break been? We'll go down with Marita.
It's actually been nice and relaxing. We spent last weekend touring 2 colleges. I reached out to former students and got an amazing tour of UCSB, University of California, Santa Barbara, and Cal Poly SLO, which is my alumni. Yeah. Go Mustangs!
Yeah. Nice.
Because my son is a junior, and so we're just trying to he knows he wants to go to college, but he kind of knows what he wants to major in, but he's not sure where he wants to go.
Right.
And when we went toured for my daughter, that he was in 8th grade, he wasn't really paying attention, so it was nice. Shout out to Daniel Hansen and Carly Page and Monis B. Thank you for giving us a tour of the campuses. It was so fun and great to get students that we know perspective, and I felt like it made my son more open to asking questions.
Absolutely.
And then I spent the rest of the week half doing some work grading, and then half just being a couch potato.
Yeah. I'm going to have to get some names from you because Ava is a junior and we have to start doing that too.
Right.
So I'm going to have to get some info from you.
Yes.
And Russ, what have you been to? Russ, you played last night.
I did play gigs.
In Pacifica at 11 o'clock. I really thought about it, but 11 o'clock I was already in bed.
Wait, that's when your set started?
Yeah.
At 11. So for us old folks, that was 11.
It's rock and roll life.
How was it? How's Uppity Dix doing?
Well, we found out we're your mom's favorite band, and that's fun to say.
Nice.
People like that. We had a good time. We played a set. People bought a little merch.
Yeah. Irene, we got to go out and see him and record him one day. Yeah. So how was your spring break?
Busy. I've been babysitting all week because I was off and everybody else is at work, and the granddaughter was off school, so that left me as a responsible adult. So I went to a lot of local parks, and that's been good.
It's been beautiful. It's been beautiful weather here in California.
Pretty nice this week. So,
what's your granddaughter's favorite local park?
She lives over by Hoagie Park, and she calls that Hokey Pokey Park, which is pretty funny. Although I took her to Campbell Park and then John D. Morgan.
Oh yeah.
And she was impressed every day that I took her to the Magic Kingdom Bridge Park, which is at Central Park in Santa Clara, which is amazing.
Oh, is that?
What's the capacity, do you think, for the kids' number on the playground?
60. Well, they're little rugrats.
900 and something is the capacity.
Is that the one that's
It's at Central Park, Kylie and Homestead. It used to be
Great America.
This used to be we played at this park as kids. This creek I've run up and down as a kid. And so to see them rebuild this brand new park structure there.
That's amazing.
It's a big play structure, like Jungle Gym for us Gen Xers.
What's the name of the park? Let me write it down.
It's Magic Kingdom Bridge. I think I have it written down on my phone.
So cool.
It's incredible.
900.
Have you taken her to Rotary Play Garden?
Yes.
That one's a good one.
Yeah, Rotary is a good one too.
Yeah.
So.
I like that it's closed.
It is closed. This one's all the new parks, they all have gates to get in, which is cool. So there's easy in and not that easy out.
And then are there restrooms there for the kids?
There is.
Oh,
The restrooms are accessible.
Oh, thanks for the recommendation.
Yeah.
I do what I can.
Yeah.
Ball on a budget.
5.
On a budget. Park.
Your granddaughter's 5?
5, yeah.
5, yeah. And Dawn Marie?
Well, I got some bad allergies, but I had some fun with Liza in Napa. I went up there to visit my dad.
I saw that
and
post.
Irene. Then I got to stay up there, hang out with my dad and stepmom, with Gianna, my daughter, and then came back down and I did a 2-day conference online via Zoom with Stanford about drugs, alcohol, and tobacco and vaping and other drugs. But I have to say, if I could share it out, I have the presenter on the second day was the best presenter I've ever seen or heard, with factual information, relevant, just really, really great. And so I was in the chat, because they had that going, this is the best presenter I've ever seen. Humor, he did messing around with science and talking about that.
Nice.
Knew how to break up for a technical aspect as a teacher. really engaging. So I was looking at two, like the factual information, and then, man, you engaged a whole bunch of adults from all over the country. And that was a trip too, because I just thought it'd be more local teachers, and it was people from New York and all over the country. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So
maybe our district should invest in him for PD Day.
Yeah. I was like, how do we get this man? He was
not
just
the BMX guys again?
No.
Yeah. Oh. See, it just, that was more for the kids.
That's amazing. So we're going to have to get you on. And
yeah,
so you
I'll
can
have to
share
show you
your
it
knowledge.
too, so you can see it. They said they were recording everything. I'm not sure if I can share it out, but I can definitely share it off of my computer and stuff, because like everybody needs to watch it. It was just really great information, because it was changing the focus about, instead of saying like no to drugs, and that's like harm reduction. And I'm all, that's a great way of putting it to teenagers right now. Like, hey, we're just working on harm reduction on a lot of things. And then talking about the potency of the chemicals in all the drugs and how much more THC is in anything that's being produced right now than in our parents, grandparents' generation, when they kept on going. It was so funny to hear like, well, yeah, grass literally was grass. It was 1% THC, and now it's up to like 35, if not more, in products.
There used to be a commercial grade. It's gone.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And then they're also talking about how it could trip into psychosis and more suicidal, because of the potency and everything.
Well, I'll tell you, nothing kicks a habit more than a life scare. So I grew up in a household where my parents both smoked, and I picked it up socially in college. And so, because that's what I knew. To me, like cigarette smoking is what just grown-ups do.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, Pacific Islanders, we have a huge population of Pacific Islanders that's what we do. Is we grew up, all our aunts and uncles, they all smoked. So one of my really good friends in college, he started smoking. I'm like, okay, I'll try it. And then it just became this really bad habit. And I smoked for not that long, but too long, less than 10 years. But I got up to where sometimes I was smoking half a pack to a pack a day, depending on how stressful my day was. And so,
is this when you were working at NASA?
Yeah, this is when I was working at, well, because it got worse when I was commuting from Vallejo to Moffett Field.
Oh, I can imagine.
This is like fresh out. Because before in college, I was just smoking when we went out drinking, right? And so I would smoke in the car on the drive, because I was driving from Vallejo to Mountain View every day when I first got my first job out of college. Oh, wow. And so basically I was smoking all the time, and then going out for smoke breaks and all that kind of stuff. And so it was a couple of years after we got married, like I kicked the habit for a whole year, and then like went to Hawaii. My sister likes to joke like, oh, I'm so sorry I got you back. But then we were out in that environment, and I picked up smoking again. And so it wasn't until a year before we started trying to have kids that I stopped, because I said, okay, we're going to have kids. I'm not going to be smoking while I'm pregnant. And then when I was pregnant, that's when I found out I had bladder cancer. Oh, that's then it was like, that's it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I'm in remission, but we just had to have surgery, and I didn't have to have any chemo or any other kind of therapy. We caught it early enough. Good. I was 31, 32 when we discovered it. So that was, the doctor's like, there you go. I said, because if I smoked, he's like, you don't know, but you don't want to do that. So that's it. So
well, congratulations for kicking. It's hard.
Yeah. So whenever people talk about educating kids, especially about nicotine, I'm like all about like giving them education, because they think, our generation smokes cigarettes, and they think vaping is harmless, but
no.
We should get you on for like me and Irene actually were talking about a vaping / drug usage episode. So we should get you on. So, well, yeah. So, okay. So this episode, it's one of my Clueless sports episodes. It's, we're doing basketball.
Yay!
We're revisiting this because if you want to go back and listen, the first Clueless basketball episode we did was season 1, episode 50. So my cousin Belle, her partner Twan, and my godson Jeremiah came on and kind of gave me a lesson on basketball. And I did learn so much. And since then, I've actually been watching basketball. I've been watching a lot this season. Not all, anytime the Warriors play, I watch them. I've missed a few, but let's get to it. So let's kind of go down and each one of you and kind of tell me your history with basketball, how much you know and how you got into it. So me, obviously, I'm a newbie at this, but I'm learning. And Marita, let's start with you.
Oh my gosh, basketball is like one of my favorite sports. I grew up playing basketball, started in 5th grade, parochial school, loved basketball. Back in the 80s, my favorite, because everybody in my house liked the Celtics, so I got to be different. So I loved the Lakers. I used to watch college March Madness when I paid attention the most. Grant Hill was one of like my favorite players Warriors growing up.
He's married to Tamia.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Awesome.
I don't know why I know that.
Connections.
And then
There's something.
And then I'm always a Bay Area fan. So I've always been a Warriors fan, even when we sucked. Even when we sucked, I still.
Hey, I watched Warriors games when they sucked, and the tickets were $20, and it was so much fun.
Oh my gosh, that's why
and you get a free chalupa if they like make it. That's
the only reason to watch.
But this is when they were at the old,
for the Coliseum. Yeah. So I seen one game at the Coliseum, and we just recently saw a game at the Chase Center, but Warriors tickets are just too expensive.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, Warriors, are you listening? They're too expensive for the average family to really come see it. I prefer to watch it on TV now because it's too far away with what we can afford. But we follow the Warriors. I'm always going to root for the Warriors, even if I disagree with what the coach is doing, even though I'm like irritated with some of the players, I'm always going to root for my team. So, and then I coached basketball, played basketball in high school, coached basketball for my kids. So not really a big professional basketball. And I played rec basketball in college, but it was just like club kind of thing. And so I also do the scoreboard for all the home games at Lee. So I love basketball, all levels. Yeah. And so when I felt like the NBA got really crazy, I'm like, a little too much ego in the players. I started watching college basketball because it was more enjoyable to watch.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Yep, thanks.
Yeah, I was so excited to have you on. And Russ?
Yeah. I like Marita. I played basketball.
I didn't know that.
In parochial school, which is the only place that this height and skill set can be utilized. I did not start, but I did play. We had a hoop in my backyard. And so my friend group, even, the couple of buddies that I hung out with we played pretty serious full contact basketball in the backyard. And so that was like,
Did you have the flock of seagulls haircut at that time?
I did have various bad haircuts at that time. And that didn't matter to see like a few punk rock kids in the backyard playing serious basketball. It was pretty funny. Yeah. And that was a way I was in trouble a lot. So I'd often be in the yard. And so shooting hoops was a way to, pass the time, burn a day that you're grounded. And I was often grounded, but I would say I don't really watch professional. I'm a Sports Center guy, so I'll put on Sports Center, get the highlights. I don't really watch too many games. I guess my thing is I have a hard time watching millionaires play for billionaires. Yeah. That's the objection. And and the same thing goes for college. Like I have a hard time seeing colleges make so much money off their programs. These guys are like doing all the work, and ladies too. So if I was going to watch a game, I would probably go see a women's game because that looks more like basketball as I've played it. When you see men's games, something different's happening. And I think the one game that sticks out of my mind, we saw the Warriors the year they were in San Jose because they were working on Oracle, and Shaquille had just gotten to the Lakers, and he was 24 and 7.
Damn, you're taking it way back.
7'1" and 315 pounds, and we had tickets on the floor.
Oh wow!
And Shaquille O'Neal is the largest human I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't know. And he was not the only 7-footer. There were plenty of 7-footers, but he looked like a 1.25 size individual around these other guys. And I was like, I don't know where they're breeding folks that are this like size. But
he's like Shrek versus Donkey kind of thing.
I'm the biggest of my people. so and that's not saying all that.
So is he like the Hagrid of basketball?
Hagrid.
He's not the biggest basketball player. He's not the biggest guy to ever get in the NBA, but he looked incredibly
massive.
He's got a huge presence for sure.
Incredibly massive. And and so I was just stunned. I've been stunned by that, thinking about that like for a long time, because he's 7'1" that's a different thing, so. But I do like basketball, and I guess I like March Madness too. It's fun time of the year because I like to see upsets.
Yeah, did you guys watch Monday's the championship game men's?
Yeah.
I missed them women's because we were out, but yeah, it's crazy.
Houston should have won. Yeah. But that's why they play the games.
Yep. It was a clutch game.
Yeah. All right. So I guess I'm just continuing the trend of parochial school basketball.
That's right.
I got,
Yay, Jesus.
that where I had a bunch of my friends' fathers. Yeah, we prayed during the huddle.
That we did. She's not lying.
Solid.
Had a bunch of friends' fathers. They were our coaches. So sometimes they got out their aggressions on their own daughters and stuff. I was very rough. I got fouled out almost every game. And I went and played in high school for my freshman, sophomore year. Had a great time with the coaches and rapport. I just somehow clicked to that age group of, wow, there's a lot of pettiness and people fighting about things. And at that time, there was an awareness of how to develop a team. And it was just like who barked the most, got more playing time and such. And I don't feel like there was much skill development either at that time. So I kind of let that go. And then when I got here to our school, I said yes to everything. So I coached our JV team for a little while and helped out there. And that too was a good experience of you need to be organized and how well everybody's connected in the community. My other counterpart, my department, was the AD at times. So as soon as she walked on the court, like the refs are hugging her. And I was like, what the hell? And then now being older, like Russ said, just the psychology, the money behind the industry. I find that very fascinating and interesting because as a kid, you're like, I get to play and see it. And then once you see the business side and how shady things are and like millionaires playing for billionaires, how at least the organization for basketball, they unionize, they got together. They're not protecting the athletes, but there's agents, there's sports trainers. So it's crazy to see all the psychology and money behind and the sociology behind an industry that you're like, yeah, you get to play and move around. It looks like to us, like, I know they're working hard, but then there's millions of dollars on the line and the endorsements and all that. And then also how the shady side of the NBA during, I guess, was it the 90s, where like, I think Oprah did one episode of showing how many basketball players were just sleeping around so much because Magic was the big guy who came out and said he had HIV. I'm like, you are all so disgusting to women throughout the country. There's two sides to that. So there's like all this different layers to sports that just watching a game and people play.
Right. And not to mention like when they start trading people and everything, like the psychology behind it for the players, right?
Right.
So, I mean, like Schroeder, he was in the Warriors. He was traded into the Warriors.
He was in the Warriors for a hot minute.
Yes. And then he leaves and then he just kept getting traded. And he said it was like modern day slavery, you know? And it's like, it's awful. Like things like that you really don't think about outside the game, right? And I can't even believe I'm talking like this right now because I'm like, what? So let's get into it. So the last game
on April 4th, Friday night,
the Warriors won.
Yes.
They beat the Trailblazers.
Portland, yes.
Portland. So that puts them in 6th place, correct?
It does right now. They should have won the game that they lost to San Antonio the other night. San Antonio's standings was not as good as the Warriors, but you just never know. Like there's a lot of traveling, and then that puts tax on the players. So like,
weren't they leading by like 27, like a ridiculous amount?
Yeah, that happens.
But that happens. I feel like that happens a lot with them, where they lead and then they get kind of cocky.
Don't even get me started. Like I do a lot of couch coaching, right? And like, so my husband and I, like, we're always having these arguments, and so I'm like, first of all, when Russ talks about how the game has changed so much, like the rules have changed since even when we played basketball. I'm like, I'm yelling at the thing, like, why is that a foul? And then for the longest time, I'm like, why do they never call lane violations on these free throw shots? Like the players are, like in high school basketball, it's called all the time. But professional basketball players, like, I don't know, when is it okay to get into the lane during a free throw? So like all the rules are completely different. Like some things that used to be like instantaneously a foul, it's like, oh, now it's just a no call contact. It's getting crazy. But yeah, there's a lot of things that fall, like the game against San Antonio, there was a lot of Warriors are infamous. Sorry, Warriors, I still love you, but they're infamous for turnovers, right? They mishandle the ball. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, when I played, if I passed the ball like that, my coach would yell at me, one-handed pass. What the heck are you doing? One-handed pass. You need a strong pass with both hands so that you have control with the ball. So there's a lot of like mishandling of the ball. I don't think that they moved the ball enough. That they focus too much on, and this is where I'm worried about the younger players. They look up to the NBA players, and all you see is like everybody trying to make a 3-point shot.
Yeah,
mm-hmm. There's more to basketball than the 3-point line. Actually, more teams have beat us by getting more in the paint than they have at the 3-point line.
Yeah.
And when you're not hot, when you're like having a bad night, then stop trying to shoot those 3-pointers. Yes, I know, Mr. I've got more than 4,000 3-points, and but like sometimes it's like, then let's get the easier
go
shot.
for the free throws.
Well, be a team player and read the court and see your skill set, your endurance to shoot and make 3 points. But that's what they see. The NBA's turned into a lot of 3-point shots because it's a really great big wow factor and stuff. And it's a skill set. But then you're also not getting into the paint, having fights, using physicality into the sport.
And then you have Draymond.
Yeah.
Being Draymond.
Love to hate him.
It was weird because we were waiting to play last night and the game was on, and I happened to look up and it was super low score in the third quarter, 56 to something. And
neither team shot well.
The guy I was in the band with, he's like, wow, this is like the lowest scoring NBA game on record. And I was like, is it? Because it seems like they used to play a little different kind of defense. Yeah. But the NBA is sports on TV is entertainment, and no one wants to see defense. They want to see scores run up.
Yeah. I mean, could it also be that they have mid-season, they've switched players and they had to get used to each other and see kind of have that rhythm? Yeah, I'm trying to understand.
So Portland, who's starting lineup, I'm just repeating what the color commentators were saying, is that they played all their height. And Golden State is a small ball team, right? What does
that mean?
That means that they don't have a lot of tall players. We have some tall players, but we don't have guys.
Call me Golden State. I'm available if you need another short guy.
Yeah, you play basketball in the backyard.
Right.
So
also,
pretty serious though.
Yeah. What makes Golden State a good team are our more aggressive, not as tall players. My favorite player, I like to call him Batman, is GP2. Gary Payton. He because he's wearing this mask to protect himself. So every time he comes on, I'm like, Batman. And then he's so aggressive. He is the kind of player I remember your coaches wanted you to be when we played in high school. Be aggressive. You don't have to be the tallest person on the floor. You just got to play smart basketball, find your opportunity, be a team player. And so those are the players I really appreciate on the Warriors. And I really hope that the Warriors work on building their younger talent rather than just focusing on the skill of the older players who I feel we don't have much more than maybe 5 years.
Religiously.
So how do you manage a roster when I don't know what you're paying Steph, but let's just say hypothetically you're paying Steph $30 million. I'm gonna guess
more than that.
I'm just gonna guess and throw a number out there. You can mortgage that off per game. Yeah. At a certain amount, and so you're paying him close to $1 million a game. People are expecting to see him.
Right.
You're expecting to get. You got to cash those numbers out. And his knees, his ankles, his hips, his back, that's not your concern. Your concern is
that's the thing.
Maximizing your sponsorships. And so you're gonna play, Steph. You're gonna play all game.
Yeah. But and because he gets attacked so much. There's so much they say physicality.
Yeah.
He's fouled way more than he's ever called. You could see on the game, you could see the scratch marks. You could see the camera will catch it. If you're watching off ball, you'll see guys grab his jersey and
tailbone's pretty recognizable.
Right. Yeah. And so for him, I'm he was trying to block. Somebody was in his way. So he was trying to ward him off, and he hit his hand on the knee of the Portland player. And so he got to be pulled out, had to go to the locker room, and they wrapped him up and they still played him. And so the color commentators were talking about how Jimmy Butler's trying to make sure, because they rested Steph, trying to make sure they don't have to bring Steph back in. I think I understand that we're paying him multi-million dollars, but you have these younger, hungry players who have a lot of talent and have a lot of energy to play against these other younger teams. I think I feel like we should be thinking about, the future of Warriors basketball and start developing Jonathan Kuminga. When he's on, he is on.
Oh, I love Kuminga.
He's
so good.
Jonathan Kuminga, Gary Payton, even Brandon Podziemski. He's really good. So good.
He played for Santa Clara.
Yes, he did.
I just found that out. Yeah.
Well, you don't think it's what John? Who was the guy that's in Miami now? That was in Los Angeles for a long time. His thing was you play 6, you trust 7, you win with 8.
Right.
But your bench is longer than that.
Yes.
and so that's, I don't know that works. You got to have 2 units, I think, to really be effective, because it's a long game, and guys are running. Guys are huge and fast. They're athletic.
Well, we had a good run, right? When they first Butler came to the team, they had like 21 and something, but the lineups were working. Unfortunately, Kuminga was out because he had got injured. So we had this good lineup where the bench did come off and give the starting players a rest. But now other injuries are happening, so they don't have all the same guys that they rely on for their bench to, get them through. But I don't think I really answered your question about the money thing. Yes, it is a business, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I'm more like for the underdogs kind of thing. And, the Warriors are no longer the underdogs anymore. No. So, but I think about the underdogs on the Warriors teams, like their bench. There are some guys that are really good players. They have a lot of potential. It's kind of like, analogy is like you have all these kids in your classroom, right? And you know which kids are the ones that are more successful in your classroom because they just are more successful in that way. And then there are the kids that are like, they're not quite there yet. They're not at grade level. So they'll figure it out. I'm going to only focus in on the kids that are all getting A's in my class. You would never do that, right?
Makes sense.
That's not what we should, again, but
we're not supposed to do that.
But we're not a business trying to make money.
So is that all on the coach?
No.
It's more than you can't just, ask my husband, but you can't just blame Steve Kerr. He's got a whole team behind him, giving him suggestions about who you should be playing now, who you should be putting in right now. I think it's like he said, it's a whole like NBA sort of approach to it. But I don't know. It seems like that's just the way of the world, right? The more talented, the richer you are, the more you're going to get what you want.
Yeah.
And the NBA cares about its brand. They care that when you come to a city, you play your stars.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Because some cities, it can be tough to get a draw, and they come out to see other teams' stars.
Yeah.
Look at the Olympic Games, right? They had the best players on there. Like the last season's best players, I can't remember his name, but he didn't play nearly as much as Steph, LeBron, and KD. I forget his name. Kawhi, right? And then the other guy. There was two of them that they it was not Anthony Edwards. It was another guy from like New York or something. See, I don't even remember his name. You know what I mean? I felt like, man, that guy went all the way to the Olympics. He was one of the best players last season. Warriors weren't even in the championship.
Still got a gold medal though.
Yeah, he still got a gold medal. Yes.
Okay, good.
He still got a gold medal. But there was you could hear all the rumblings on the news and social media. I'm like, why is Kerr not playing him? It did look like Kerr was currying literally favorites with Curry and LeBron's an amazing. You can't not play LeBron in general. So I don't know.
Real.
That's why I don't coach or own this basketball team.
Put Shaq in as my role.
Right. So what are your guys's? Well, Marita? What are your guys's or everyone predictions for the playoffs?
While I'd love to say Golden State's going to go to the championship, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
And why is that?
A lot of injuries right now.
Yeah.
And he's playing the older players. They don't have the stamina to play against some of these teams that have a younger starting lineup. Because the whole thing is about you hear the color commentators saying you got to control the pace of the basketball game. So if they're tired because they've been traveling and it's a younger team, they might not. So I don't know. And there's a lot of ego too.
Oh, that would be the greatest thing to sit in and just watch with a psychologist and so many other specialists and go, seeing ego and vetting how many people are, who speaks up, who doesn't, right. Who's bringing somebody else down just for playing time for minutes. Is it just because of money and endorsements? Is it really because of the love of the sport? What do you do when you're older and you're injured all the time and you have a deep bench? They know there's other players that could get on there and possibly do the job. So it's a really interesting business model of wear somebody down to get as much profit as possible because of the highlight of the name and what they possibly are selling jerseys, selling tickets, selling their image now more than ever. So
money makes the world go round, I guess.
For
which world? Not mine.
Professional sports, yes.
I got OKC against the Celtics.
Ooh. Oh, that would be fun. That would be good.
I got OKC in 6.
Nice.
How about you, Don Marie? Any predictions?
No predictions right now.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to make it to the finals, but I think Warriors will make it past.
Who's the number one team right now?
Oklahoma City. Okay. They quietly won 65 games.
Yeah.
Which is rare. When the Warriors ran on, what they get 72,
73 wins and a season.
73 out of 82 games is ridiculous.
Yes.
That's nearly unheard of. And so 60 was a standard before. That's a hard domination.
But they're not going to get that again because people have figured them out.
Yeah. They play tough defense, and that's, if you're going to lock people down, you're going to have a chance. Yep. And nobody knows. Like, people are surprised. Oklahoma City's number one in the West by pretty good, by a few games. It's not close.
Yeah. I want to say that the Wednesday game, just April 2nd, I guess, I'm trying to think of the date. Harrison Barnes was on the team, and it was a clutch game. In case you don't know, clutch game is, and me and my husband talked about it the other day, that's not right now. So it's less than 5 point spread between the two teams and less than 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So it was a clutch game. It looked like we're going to go into like overtime, and then, whatever team that was, the Spurs, San Antonio, right? Yeah. So they inbounded the ball, and Harrison Barnes, a former Warriors, just let it up there. I'm always rooting for my Warriors, but I felt like so excited. I was so happy that Harrison got that 3-pointer. He deserved that accolades, and to see the whole team just like, I mean, that's what I like to see, the whole, team working together.
Sportsmanship.
Yeah. And so they were cheering off, and I saw, like, of course the camera only shows you with it. Like, I didn't see any of the former Warriors go and like shake hands. They just all went to the locker room afterwards. I was like, oh, come on, can't we get sports? Hello. But the camera doesn't, the network shows us what they want to show us. So
yeah, kind of like reality TV, right?
Yeah. Yep. I have to like regulate myself in terms of like, I can't actually watch the game tonight. I have to plan for my lesson or do some grading.
Adulting.
Yeah.
Sounds boring.
Yeah, I'd rather watch basketball.
Yeah.
It's overrated.
Yeah.
Maybe next year you can plan for March Madness, not so many assignments.
No, the joke is I keep doing the scoreboards because I want to get to the NBA and be a professional scoreboard operator.
There you go. Hey,
dare to dream.
I mean, everyone comes.
This is how it starts.
Everyone comes to our home court. I'm like, oh, we got the professionals out here. I go, yep. And then it's so funny when someone who doesn't know me, like, do you know what you're doing? I'm like, dude, I've been doing this for like 12 plus years. Yeah. I know exactly what I'm doing.
You're like, hold my beer.
Like, you have beer now.
Hold my Gatorade.
Yes.
I think that's it. All right. Yay. Well, thank you, Marita. Thank you, Russ and Don Marie.
You're welcome.
We'll see how this all plans out. So,
go Warriors.
Yeah.
There we go.
Go Warriors.